episode of Ask Rafah. I have a letter here from a Deirdre saying, why has he changed so much since lockdown? Now I know lockdown has passed, but I thought I'll share this letter anyway because it has a lot, I think, for a lot of people who might experience this kind of person or personality or a character within a relationship. Okay, so the letter goes, I met my partner through a dating site last October, and at first our relationship was absolutely wonderful. And in January he asked me to move in with him, which I did, and then he said, asked me to give up my career because he said it was very stressful for me, but I really loved my job. One night I overheard him on the phone to his ex, saying that he wasn't seeing anyone. I also discovered that he was lying to me about his age. He told me that he was 41, and I'm 43, she writes, but he's actually 54. I was travelling away to complete some important documents during the lockdown, and we ended up getting separated, so we've been apart since, and everything has changed. He hardly ever calls to ask if I'm okay, and if I phone him, he often just yells at me and says that he's too busy to talk, but other times he's really loving. I love him, and I now don't know what to do. So Deirdre, I am just going to point out very quickly, there's some things that I'm a bit concerned about. I think this is quite common with a lot of people, and this is not to say that this is a golden rule, okay, by no means, but it is a rule, or rather a way of establishing a relationship. And I think what we've done in this modern society, with everything being so fast, we tend to really act very quickly, and we tend to engage in an intimate relationship with somebody before we've really had time to kind of lay the foundations down. And I think this is one of the core issues that I find time and time again that people experience, and the hurt they experience is based on the fact that they haven't actually established a sense of good solid foundations of really seeing the true colours and hearing the true colours of a person. So while the relationship initially started with a lot of good things, or clearly you moved in with him within 3 months because he asked you, okay? And that is key, because he asked you, which is kind of nice, but 3 months is not a very long time, and I wonder how much of it that you really actually wanted to do so. The next point I want to bring up is the fact that he has told you to quit your job because it's very stressful. So he's decided to take the onus of what he perceives as being stressful for you, despite the fact you really loved your job. Now obviously there are certain jobs that can be very stressful, asks a lot of a person or an individual, but it actually, people thrive on some stressful environments. And if you loved your job, I'm sure that was actually something that you didn't need to leave at all. And I wonder why you even gave up your job, because he asked you to. So that's the second point I want to make, that I feel has done a mistake with. The other point I also feel is that when you overheard him on the phone lying to his ex-girlfriend about you, saying that he wasn't actually seeing anybody. Now that is a real red flag warning sign, okay? You've had 3 in some way. I wouldn't say 3 actually, definitely a 2, because he's asked you to give up something that was important to you. I'm very wary of partnerships that start off with people actually informing or insisting that a certain partner has to do a certain thing straight away, because not even straight away, but it's very indicative of more to come. All right, the truth of the matter is, if we don't go out with somebody that actually fits the bill in a way that really gives us a lot of joy and happiness, despite the fact that the early throes of the relationship, which is always the most exciting and the kind of honeymoon period of a relationship, is that you've got to listen out for warning signs, okay? I did actually also myself years ago get involved with somebody who turned out to be a narcissist, and the warning sign was there, but I listened to it very quickly, because there were other pointers that were indicating his kind of insane mindset. And one of it was he had informed me that he didn't want me to put any more weight on. Not that I was any big or anything like that, but that was indicative of, and he said something like, oh, well, I won't be able to love you if you put any weight on. You know, I mean, that was really a warning sign. And more importantly, I remember thinking, I'm not going to have anybody tell me how I ought to look or how I ought to be physically. certainly not a man. You know, that's my decision, and it's up to me to decide when I feel like my body needs to be in shape, or if I don't like being, you know, a particular size. That's my choice and not for somebody to tell me. So I don't understand how women allow themselves to be dictated to, or you know, sort of encouraged. I wouldn't even say the word is encouraged. It's a very passive aggressive kind of encouragement. But anyway, so the fact that you left the job was a really warning sign, and he wanted you to leave that. The other thing, as I said, is that he lied. You heard him lie. Now, you don't tell me in your letter whether you actually approached him about that. Okay, you don't actually sort of say that you questioned it to find out why he did that. It could be possibly that his ex-girlfriend is a very insecure kind of person, and he didn't want her or cause any problems down in that department, so just feigned and made a lie. But you don't inform me whether that is the case. Okay. Now, my other wary thing is the fact that he also already lied about his age. Now, he must look pretty good for his age if he thought that he was 43 when he's actually 54. But why would anyone lie about that? Okay. I mean, personally, I think if you look younger than your age, you know, or who cares, you know, your age is your age. And, you know, again, we're dealing with somebody who's not in integrity or is honest about things. And they are warning signs. And from my personal experience as well, you've got to listen to them. If you find that somebody lying, and if that's one of your value systems, and you overlook it, you will find that you will be let down, and that would be a real crusher for you each time. And I don't think anybody really likes to be lied to at all. All right. So I also, you know, been in a relationship where a guy had lied from the go-get, but I made an exception, thinking, oh well, I can sort of understand why he lied about that. But in fact, he has then continued throughout the relationship to not be honest about lots of details of certain things, be it financial or speaking to somebody or whatever it was, and it just happened over and over again. So yeah, that ended, and I was very regrettable of my own personal mistake for doing that. So I really, really recommend. So I speak from experience as well. Okay, so, you know, agony aunts like us, you know, we're not all sussed and everything all the time. We have our own journey to make, but I can really assure you, and if I can help you right now, to take heed of anybody, and this is for anybody who lies right at the beginning of the relationship, I would stop it while you are ahead. Okay, so now you actually say your main concern is that you feel that he has changed since lockdown, and he says he hardly ever calls to ask if I'm okay, and if I phone him, he only just yells at me and says he's too busy to talk. Now that's your other warning sign. It sounds like he's very inconsistent in his behavior, and indicates some either bipolar, narcissistic, and it could be very narcissistic to be honest, or sociopath. They are very unpredictable individuals. Okay, they show up as being nice as anything else. They will charm you, they will give you a really good time to start with, and then the true color starts showing up. And this is why it is very deadly to actually cohabitate or actually get involved sexually with anybody too much too soon, because these signs would have shown up anyway as you have gone into the courtship, even if it's an old-fashioned word, or started dating or dated for a good few months. Okay, people will show their true colors, especially if you do see them, but you do not have to move in with them. And if you can actually disengage from having sex straight away or soon, too much too soon in the relationship, it will heed you well. And I tell you why I say this as well is because you love him, which is understandable. Okay, and now I don't know what to do. Love tends to be something that actually grows with time. Now, your relationship hasn't had that length of time, although we can feel a sense of flurry of love, definitely. But the problem is when we have sex and we engage sexually, we tend to get over attached. Okay, and that's what happens, particularly at the beginning of the relationship, because we haven't had the foundation that has instilled a sense of stability to begin with. So my main concern really is that you haven't established your sense of self within the relationship, and now it's rocked your world because he has changed his tone. Now, in my experience, and I also find that people who tend to be a bit odd because what happened is in your view, he changed when lockdown happened, okay, which meant that he probably felt extremely insecure when you were away. Okay, he didn't like the fact that you were away and, you know, had gone away and beyond your control, you had to stay away. And since then he has decided to be angry about it, which is not actually saying, and he's actually treating you very badly in a very passive aggressive way, or also sometimes in a very aggressive way, clearly. So people like this man, your partner, or women as well, when they behave in this way, you can bet your bottom dollar that they have an issue with abandonment and a sense of being left behind that has been triggered, okay? And when that happens, they will act completely out of sync to what the reality of the relationship is, and they will also show their true colors of absolute insecurity, which is what he's doing, and playing up emotionally by not being available, okay? And often, like I said, it is from someone who'd been abandoned because they can't cope with you actually not being there. It's a sense of lack of control. So now he has got you on a puppet strings, and he is clearly very controlling because he has basically asked, asked you to give up your career for him, which is also a no-no. You don't give up your career. We're not back in the 40s or whatever, where women were locked up at home and stuff. You loved your career, and that's the thing. You actually loved it. So for you to conceded and given your power away was very mistaken, Deirdre. So I'm going to quickly show you the chakra system that really correlates to this. And the first chakra that comes up for me related to you is definitely the solar plexus. Okay, this is our power center. Okay, what you've done here is you've given your power away to him. Okay, and he has got a bigger power field. This is the power center, which is right in the center core of our body. Okay, it is where we establish our discipline. This is where we have willpower, and this is also where we trust ourselves. Now, because he's already controlled situations, and maybe he treated you right, took you out and did all the kind of manly things, you allowed yourself to be pulled into his energetic field. Okay, now if you had a sense of power and sense of control in your own self, you would not agreed to give up that job, because you would have been able to tell him that you really enjoyed your job and you were not going to do that, but thanks for offering to make that suggestion, but I'll make that decision myself, is really what you'd want to say. So that also brings me to the second chakra. You haven't used your voice box in an efficient way. This is where the throat chakra is, with the color blue. All right, and you have allowed him to make the decision making. So this chakra is also with decision making. Very important, okay? And also you not being decisive enough for yourself. All right, so in doing that, you actually then subsequently gave up your control. Okay, so now, and what happens is when you're indecisive and you give somebody your control, it is very common for you not to know what to do. And this is why you've been questioning, and your letter to me questions what you need to do and what should you do, because you love him. All right, now the other chakra which I feel is really important is your sacral chakra, which is the sexual center here. Because you've engaged in a sexual relationship with him already, you have gone, there's a big attachment here. Okay, this is an attachment that happens. Okay, and it just is the way it is. I don't think a lot of people realize we're so unconscious of the energies of the exchange of energies that happen within relationships, particularly a sexual energy. All right, so once that happens, it's as if all sense goes out the window. Okay, now if you consciously just sleep with somebody casually and you go from bed to bed or person to person, I'm not talking about that kind of attachment, although that I can guarantee that you are probably filled with a lot of toxic energy from people. Because have you ever sort of been around somebody and you just felt icky after them just because they're just not really your cup of tea, or even if they are, you're left with some energy. Okay, especially if you get drunk and you end up rolling into bed with somebody. I mean, but anyway, the point is, what happens is you do get connected energetically to somebody. So this is what's happened, and this has also confused your state of thinking. Now, which brings me to the other chakra I want to bring in here, which could also do with strengthening, is your third eye. Okay, this chakra here, which is on the third eye point, really helps for you to get calm, to get back into stillness and a sense of clarity around what you need to do. Okay, right now you overlook the actual seeing. Okay, you can see that he has lied to you and he's behaving in a way that is very unpredictable. And secondly, you are also not listening to what you know. Okay, you've taken in the listening of, you know that he's lying, but you're not wanting to think of that, and you're allowing yourself to dismiss the thoughts, which means you're also not allowing the true, you know, your third eye is being affected. So for me, I mean, all of these chakra systems will have some kind of effect on you, but these are the 4 key areas. Okay, it's really important that you think and see clearly so you can act on it. Your action will come from your core, from this here, okay, and you need to disengage from him. All right, he's trying to power trip you. He's trying to break you by actually making you mold into some kind of very small person. This is what people do, especially when you love them, because you will start actually tiptoeing around him, and you will avoid saying certain things just to keep the peace, to keep the harmony, and to keep the little loving that he gives you, because it says, but other times he's really loving. So you want my advice, I would say, get yourself out of the relationship, get yourself back into yourself, get your strength, your power back, actually seek a relationship that's healthier. And I recommend that you actually work on these chakras so you can actually start seeking a much more harmonized and truthful and authentic relationship for yourself, one that doesn't compromise you in any way, one that doesn't somebody dictate to you in any way, and you don't have to be dictated to be in a relationship. Okay, we all do this, we've all made mistakes, and they're passages for growth. Relationships serve our soul growth. So, you know, in your own sense of self, I would definitely pull away, because you know he is showing early signs of destruction. And personally, I think the fact that you're away from him during lockdown was probably a really good thing. I'm sorry that you're feeling bad about the way he's treating you now, but if you'd been under that roof and he is actually sort of engaging in some kind of controlling behavior, I can guarantee it that he would have just shown more and more of those true colors by you being under his roof and under his power. So anybody else who's, you know, kind of this resonates with, this advice goes to you as well. So, you know, you really need to leave these people, where it's a male partner that you've got, and then, you know, as a woman, you know, in Deirdre's case, you leave that partner. Again, it's the other way around. You can get women also who are very aggressive, who are very passive aggressive and controlling, and saying, oh, if you don't love me, you'll do that, or if you love me, you'll do that, and blah, 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 blah. All, you know, manipulation and control. So I am going to end the chakra section and my advice here. But as some of you know, I also do the chakras, the tarot card. Sorry, I couldn't speak. So I have already I've got a deck of cards here. Okay, what I do is a very short spread to see what the cards will say regarding this problem about this relationship that Deirdre's got. Now, one card popped out immediately as I was shuffling, which is an open card here, and it's an enjoyment card. So this is the past, and this is where she's come from. So actually, it's a very truthful card regarding the reading, because we know so far that Deirdre actually really enjoyed the relationship, and the relationships was started on this basis, and that's what you're holding on to, Deirdre. You're holding on to the memories of the good times, the not only the memories of the good times, but of course, yeah, well, you are actually the memories of the good times. It's really hard sometimes when a relationship starts going pear-shaped and start losing its kind of what it used to be. We hold on to what it used to be and not actually really see clearly what we're experiencing, you know. And especially as we've got hooked into the love and the kind of companionship and the friendship, you know, despite the fact it'd be quite warped, we tend to kind of really lean on that. And that's not one of the aspects I said to do with your central core power and your sacral chakra. Okay, the sacral chakra is really important to do with your harmonious relationship and having a good relationship with yourself, instead of being in denial about the relationship and maybe the crumbs that you're getting. But anyway, so this card very much shows, you know, a couple, you know, going down the river, enjoying and obviously having a good time. So like I said, this is where you started off from, and I feel that you've kind of gone with the flow and you've allowed yourself to go with the flow. All right, you know, and I feel that he's provided you in so many ways. But you know, there's actually 2 little flute glasses there in a champagne bucket. So I'm sure he's kind of, like I said earlier, he probably wooed you really well, and you really enjoyed it. Okay, so this is where you've come from. Let's see what the next card is. Okay, what I feel in some way you need to do is you definitely need to actually operate out of owning your own beauty. Okay, this card is informing me that you've got to go back to loving yourself and actually seeing the person that you are. All right, this has become much more of a personal reading for you, because actually what's interesting is I've just turned the deck over, and underneath the deck is what's actually going on. I think for me, what the cards have shown up is the fact that you need to claim your own beauty. Okay, you need to recognize who you are, what you stand for, what talents you've got, what skills that you've got, what are your assets, okay, and really see and be honest about whether they actually match, and he's worthy of it, okay, because I think somewhere along the way you've gone on cloud 9 and lost your sense of self, okay. So this is really important that you hone in on your own inner beauty and your own inner sense, and take, you know, not to stand on the cloud, so to speak, and really get back into reality and get grounded. In doing so, I feel that you're actually going to find some other kind of, you know, possibly a new love that could be coming your way already. Okay, I really feel that, you know, this relationship has shown true colors, because here we have, and I think this is his energy, which is really interesting. I've got 3 colors. Oh my god, all these cards underneath here are really indicative of what's going on. Okay, I've got the card of withdrawal. So this is what he's done, you see. He's felt like, oh, you know, I've not been invited to play, or, you know, there's a sense of withdrawing. So he's manipulating the situation by withdrawing. Now, if you actually look at the card, you've got a group of people at the top of the hill and this guy sitting at the bottom of the hill, and what he's doing is, by withdrawing, he's actually pulling and manipulating people at the top there, and it could just be you. So this is just a metaphor. So by withdrawing, what you do is you start causing a problem, because you start manipulating the behavior and coaxing people to act out of having, not so much out of character, but you're basically manipulating the situation. What's really interesting here as well, Deirdre, is I've got a card of deception, all right, and a couple more other cards. I'm not really going to go into it because this is actually a short reading, but I basically feel that you know, that there is certainly something driving him into this behavior. Okay, this is what's behind the scenes. All right, very much deception. Okay, I would even be careful that he might actually not even be possibly wooing somebody else. All right, this is a deception card just next to the withdrawal. And then I think also what he might do is he's trying to cause jealousy. This person could be very much you know, making you feel also very insecure by actually, you know, feigning his attentions towards you at some point and not other times. All right, you actually have, your cards actually are really, really strong and really firm, and I just basically feel that you really need to cultivate on your self-love actually, and you need to start letting that grow. And I would move on to new pastures for sure, okay, because this is your other card, all right, that's come up for you. And if you see that, you know, she's on a hill there and she's found this love, and I personally think this is you finding the love for yourself first, and then allowing yourself to blossom in the way that you deserve. I think this is something really easy for you to do. It's not going to be something too hard, but you need to disengage. Yeah, because here we've got another card again, you see, to do with him being manipulative, and I think it's to do with a sense of loss. Sometimes when people do that, it comes from a sense of loss. So these cards couldn't have been more accurate for me in terms of what's happened and where it's coming from. And the reason I like these cards is because they're actually a psychology of vision cards to do with relationships, and they actually tell people kind of what's going on and maybe what the psychology is behind the relationship. Bog standard, or is it your bog standard, but your standard tarot cards. Okay, this is more indicative and very, very insightful to look at the dynamic of the relationship as well as what's hidden and where somebody is coming from. I really feel that in some way this is, you know, your guy here. We've got a card of, you know, withdrawal, deception, jealousy, manipulation, and loss. Okay, and the loss is really not you losing out on it, but it's coming from a place of loss. It's like he's got a heartbreak, a piece of his heart missing, and unfortunately when people don't feel good in themselves, they will manipulate and do all kinds of things just to keep the control going. But like I said, I'm going to end the reading here. Thanks for watching. This is Ask Rafah. Do write in. Everything's in the description box as well, as at the end of the video. Do like and subscribe. I could really, really love to have more subscribers, particularly if you like these insights I'm giving you, both from the chakra as well as the cards. and I may do an extended version of this. I'll see, because this was quite extended, more than usual. But I might, but you'll know, because you'll see it in the actually description box as well, for when I upload it. So anything else I need to say? Yeah, you can subscribe to my newsletter and you will be in the know of other things I do. I do write quite extensively on my website. There's always some relationship or self-awareness essays and articles that I write, and particularly around the new moon. So once again, thanks for watching. Do come back, and yeah, bye for now.